The food policy fight no one is talking about. So, I want to start this by explaining a prop called Prop 12. What is Prop 12? It was approved by California voters in 2018. It mandates minimum space and confinement standards for certain animals, breeding pigs, veal calves, egg-laying hens, plus a ban on the sale in California of fresh pork from any farm, in or out of state, that doesn't meet those standards. This law was upheld by the U.S. Supreme Court in 2023. So the current push, some in Congress, especially large pork industry interests, want to use the Farm Bill process to override state animal welfare laws like Prop 12, for example, via legislation sometimes called the Save Our Bacon Act, that would preempt state standards. But the farmers showing up in DC aren't all opposed. Many are supporting Prop 12, saying they invested in compliance and that repeal or override would destabilize their operations and would also just go against, this idea of trying to suppress factory farming. On the one side, you have large pork producers and industry groups arguing that Prop 12 raises costs, burdens out of state farms, and raises retail prices. On the other side, smaller/medium farms and independent producers say Prop 12 protects the market for higher welfare production, allows them to compete, and that rolling it back would penalize those who have already invested in Prop 12 demands. So, some things that note: over 200 farmers from 30 states visited DC recently to lobby in favor of keeping Prop 12. They did say that overturning the law would be destabilizing. And then some House Republicans, 14 of them, wrote a letter urging the House Ag Committee not to include the preemption legislation in the Farm Bill, signaling a split in the GOP. So this matters because it's not just an animal welfare law, it's about market structure, producer investment, consumer choice, and regulatory reach. This outcome could set precedent for how states can enforce standards via market access and whether federal law will cap or preserve that ability. For individual farmers, this could be devastating. Obviously, for the welfare of animals, this could be devastating. And what this really is for consumers, the main claim is Prop 12 drives up retail prices of pork in California, but premium welfare compliant production may justify a higher consumer price. And it also helps us get away from the aggregation of all these different vendors being put into one. Go back to the AWS conversation. Go back to a few weeks ago to the Tyson conversation. We need federal policy that stops the monopolization and just consolidation of our food systems. It's a federal versus state battle. Should a large state like California be able to set standards that reach into production in other states? If Congress overrides it, it could weaken future state efforts to impose higher welfare and environmental standards via purchase market access conditions. But if states maintain power, it can push more farms nationwide to upgrade systems to meet stricter standards. So I share this. So I wanted to share this. Joel Salatin is someone that is been very prominent in the current administration. He's someone that he has polyface farms. He's one of the loudest advocates for better farming practices in the United States. And he had a blog post that I think is worth reading. And he shares this. Quote, I'm in Washington, D.C. with about 200 farmers lobbying against the Food Security and Farm Protection Act, or the Save Our Bacon Act. This legislative at the federal level seeks to overturn California Prop 12 from 7 years ago and Massachusetts Question 3. These two states went beyond what 11 states have done in outlawing gestation crates and hog factories. Sows live in these crates all their lives. They can only stand up and sit. They can't walk or turn around. While 11 states have outlawed this protocol, California and Massachusetts went a step further and outlawed the sale of pork sourced from piggies born to sows in these despicable gestation crates. Roughly 40% of the industry still uses the crates. Many operations have voluntarily remodeled to eliminate them, but that's not now enough for Big Ag. They're trying through the always upcoming Farm Bill to stick the federal government's nose in state governance by overturning these laws. At the National Press Club yesterday, the organizers asked me to be one of the 6 speakers, and here are my comments. And I'm going to quote what he says. Polyface Farm raises about 800 pastured pigs per year in a habitat that honors their pigness, digging, running, discovering fresh air, new salad bars. Their respect in life creates sacredness in their sacrifice for bacon and pork chops. A nation uninterested in happy pigs, or honoring the pigness of pigs, soon loses its moral and ethical framework to honor the Tomness of Tom and the merriness of Mary, or how to ensure happy people. Our culture is in a crisis of trust. We raise pigs on pasture not because of Prop 12, but because our patrons don't trust factory farming. If Big Ag thinks it can engender trust by promoting a mechanical, inanimate view toward life, it's mistaken. Life is not inanimate piles of protoplasmic structure to be manipulated however cleverly and obscenely hubris can imagine. But as much as I appreciate our farms pastured livestock, I want to focus on something different: the ability of a group to determine its own governance. The Bill of Rights constrains the federal government from infringing on numerous freedoms. Animal protection systems are not an enumerated purview. In case we've forgotten, the Constitution is silent on most things because the objective was robust experimentation, the 50-state experiment, and putting governance as close to the citizenry as possible. The reason our nation is in the throes of amplified partisan acrimony is because we continue arrogating regulatory intervention to the federal level. This creates an unnecessary and unprecedented winner to all environment, which raises the stakes on every policy issue to aggressively partisan levels. If we are ever going to reduce the rage temperature, it must start by reducing federal meddling at the state and local level. His argument is: one, reduces partisan hostility by lessening the number of people affected by the legislation, increases diversity by encouraging people to think about how they want to live without demanding everyone else conform, allows choice in the marketplace exercised at a level more at human or community scale, enables experimentation of marketplace governance easier to reverse or correct due to scale and scope, creates a check on industrial government prejudice against self-governance and local agency in an effort to cater to interests who care not a whit about hog happiness. And then he goes on to say it's worth the while. Something I'll be watching, but I think this is really big. It's a federal and state battle, but it also is about the governance of our food systems. Do states have the right to govern how they will enact their food systems, or is the federal government going to take control? And if that's the case, then what will likely happen is that the federal government will allow these big corporations, these amalgamations, these monopolies of scale to continue to dictate our food systems. And I think it's inherently wrong. So I agree with the farmers on this one. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.